If they ask you, you better say a number like 1,000, at least mess with them, okay? If you are still a virgin past the age of 20, and I know some 30-year-old virgins, bro, and they're having trouble with women because they never learned game. They never had the confidence. They were that nice guy simp because they...
So for a lot of us that have, you know, kind of looked around this space, there's been a lot of, you know, PUAs type dating coaches like this that tell you, you know, get your game up. If you don't have game, you need to work on it. You need to get your money together, get your muscles together. I get all of that. And I'm not going to knock this hustle. I personally think that game is dead. I don't think that PUA or any of that stuff is relevant anymore, at least to the overwhelming number of guys, because simply put, if you're not coming in a certain package, the chances that you're going to get a certain response are getting slimmer by the day, considering the power of dating apps. But also just, simply put, there are so many downsides, right? There's the STDs, you could deal with pregnancy and child support, even the possibility of getting M2'd or you know, something like that. There are a lot of drawbacks to that. So I would suggest, you know, dropping that part of it. But he did say one interesting thing that I think I wanted to kind of focus on in this video. Remember, he said, if your body count is 0, if you're a virgin, you should lie about it. I think that that's very important. And I think I think if one side can do it, certainly the other side can. So I want to start by going back to the magical year of 1985. This is the year they had Back to the Future. It had Rocky IV, amazing year for movies before hip hop was mainstream. You had a movie called Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which was, I mean, it was the coolest movie you could possibly imagine, right? And ironically enough, Madonna sang Like a Virgin. It was probably the top song of this year, okay? There's another interesting thing that happened in 1985, and that was the release of New Coke. You've probably seen it in Stranger Things if you watch it, right? And the thing about New Coke was that it caused a big stir, It was a big deal. They were actually putting cans of New Coke on people's doors. And I remember as a young kid, we actually went around people's houses and collected the cans so that we could drink extra amounts of New Coke, right? But anyways, so this is a big deal. People were really upset about it. So about 3 months later, they came back out with the original Coke and they called it Coca-Cola Classic. Now, I'm going to read a paragraph to you to explain how big of a deal it was and what the aftermath became. On the street, it was considered a national disaster. New Coke ads on screen at the Houston Astrodome, you don't remember, that's old, where blue original Coke was hoarded or sold at prohibition style prices. In addition, New Coke was dumped publicly into sewers in Seattle. After 77 days, the previous version of Coke was brought back as Coca-Cola Classic on July 11th, 1985. Now listen to this. The Coca-Cola company lost millions in research and advertising costs, but gained 3 times as much in free advertising. Indirectly, New Coke strengthened the company's position atop the commercial beverage tree, which conspiracy theorists say had been the plan all along. CEO Roboto, I can't say that, denied the charge, claiming we're not that smart and we're not that dumb. Amazing what rebranding can do, isn't it? So why am I talking about 1985 and New Coke and Coke rebranding? Well, as you guys probably know, times are getting tough, right? Millions of millennials moved back home this year. Are you among them? Tell us that your adult children have moved back in with you. Inflation and rental prices are up across the country as the cost of living increases. More and more adults are choosing to live in multi-generational homes rather than make it out on their own. In the last year, an increasing number of millennials have returned to live in their parents' homes. Now, if you are the kind of person who is not looking forward to moving back and living with your parents, and instead you're looking to find some stability, what are you looking to do? I would say that you're looking to emit what men that are looking for wives are looking for: purity. Now, we know that this no rules sexual marketplace. There are no rules. So if in fact there are no rules, you're talking about people living for a decade or a decade plus under rules where you can't shame people for body count and sex positivity and the S walk and all of these things that have reinforced the fact that we have freedom, especially young ladies, freedom to act in any way they feel free to, you know, in a sexual manner. And so as times get more difficult, you start seeing things like this, and it kind of runs counter to all of the messaging that we've been hearing. And the thing about rebranding is it's simple. You have something that people really want, you take it away, and then you repackage it under a different or even a familiar brand that people want, that people long for. And so if you're a marriage-minded guy, and all of a sudden you're starting to see, oh, wow, all of these virgins have been out here all of this time. That's just, I'm not saying that these young ladies aren't what they say they are. What I'm saying is that it's very convenient that all of a sudden there's a large number of virtuous women that have just been out here waiting for Prince Charming to show up after the last 25, 30 years of what we've seen in the way things have changed in dating. So what I'm telling young guys is, especially for relationships, I think the body count matters, but I think it matters simply because it's an indication of if the person is able to function in a relationship. Do they have a history of functioning in a relationship? And if they do, you might have a chance of building something with them. But you're not going to get that information up front anyway. So I would implore guys, be vigilant, do your homework, and have a little bit of skepticism. Heck, you should probably have a healthy dose of it, especially these days, because these days it's harder than ever for the average guy to get attention from women, and it's easier than ever for the average woman to get attention from guys. So keep that in mind when you start seeing all of these virtual signaling about, oh, I'm the girl next door type, because times are getting tough and people are looking for life rafts. So if you don't want to be a life raft, think about it. Catch you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.